Hello, bright and shiny beacon of light. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. I've been watching the numbers falling precipitously as we've been getting set up, but hopefully everybody will come back and a mighty woohoo as Jessica has been taking her cue from Q and understanding feng shui that we don't want my back to the door when we do YouTube lives. So she now has me propped up in the setup, but now the microphone is far away. I'm not sure I can reach the mouse. So we are going to work on my subconscious blocks tonight that say that I need things prepared and organized and at least some sort of order in order for me. Well, that's an interesting setup. Are you gonna get on the red chair there so that you're not? Good, Pookie. Good, Pookie. You didn't see that one coming, did you?
I'm actually sitting on a chair.
Oh, what I was saying beforehand is that she is working on my cardiovascular system, the flexibility in my arteries and veins to be able to handle massive change with 30 seconds notice. So let's see. Do you want to sit higher? How does this work for you?
Yeah, I will.
Thank you everybody for your flexibility in working with us. Now let's see what happens if we come on over. Oh,
it's still not accurate.
That's not accurate because her torso is actually longer than me.
Anyway, if you've been following us or watching past YouTube lives, we used to sit back here facing that way.
That's true. And now we have flipped things around, which gives you more, in theory, depending on the aperture of the camera, it will give you a better view of the Hummingbird Olympics, which are going on behind us. That you'll probably see more in just a little bit. But this is good at helping me move past my subconscious blocks that say I like to be prepared for things. So, and it's interesting because
rearrange the furniture once in a while. It gets energy flowing.
We just bought this new mic stand here, which
fancy, a telescope.
Yes. I don't know how high it will go, but maybe that will work for tonight. What do you think?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Nice.
Okay, so I want to talk about our subconscious blocks. However, before we do that, announcement, please. Not that announcement, but tonight is our
11-year
anniversary. At least that we met 11 years ago today. Woohoo! How does it get any better than this? How does it get any better than this? And it's interesting because we're talking about subconscious blocks tonight. So what does an anniversary have to do with it? Well, I would say that I have in many ways, when stuff goes down lately, I have regressed to my wounds and blocks that I have worked on quite a bit, but that have what? You're grinning. All right, come on in.
No, I'm just waiting for the opportunity to go. I don't know what you're gonna say.
She's a Scorpio. She lives for this opportunity. It's a COVID-19 thing. It's a 2020 thing. We had on Dr. Michael Lennox in December. We had him back on, the amazing astrologist. We had back on in March. And what he talks about is 2020 is a year where everything that's under the carpet gets to come out, gets to be exposed so that you can learn from it, heal from it, grow from it. And particularly, I look at COVID-19 as an amplifier. Anything that wasn't fully healed tends to come out again and again and again so that it can be worked with. And so lately, when there has been pressure or challenges, you'll want to plug this in, that battery does not last very long. When there have been pressure or challenges, I have gone back to old programming, but at a new level. That's the thing. We often go back to old programming and we go, I haven't changed at all. I haven't grown. I'm the same poor schlub that I was years ago. Nothing could be further from the truth. You are always spinning around the mountain, going to a higher level still, and a higher level. And when you view the world from that level, you may have wounds and blocks to work on. but your awareness is completely different. And so now I see these things, I can sort of laugh at them when we're doing the tango. And I would say almost all the best couples. Jessica is very quick to mention a couple friends in Boulder, and she says, they never fight. But other than them, I believe that all couples have stuff that they get to work on. And so I can see it coming back up and almost laugh at it. But that's okay. So if you're feeling like it's a twilight zone time right now, if you're feeling like, why do I feel like this just keeps coming up and coming up and coming up and coming up? It's coming up for your highest good. It's coming up to be cleared. And right now, this COVID-19 time to me is a time when our wounds are triggered to help us to heal. So, all right, I want to dive into things, but since you said that you were just waiting to go, is there anything that you wanted to add or to share or anything of the sort? And your computer is like literally down by your knees.
It's very far away.
Right now, I'm like, do you want a box or something?
I'll figure it out.
Okay.
Well, Allison Muse asked, what was the other announcement you were talking about?
Well, I have no announcements that I am allowed to, or that I have been cleared. Nothing that my pay level will allow me to share. So I'm going to say no announcements at this point.
Okay.
It would go against my pay grade. All right. However, let's talk about this here. Let's talk about when these things come up as you are experiencing right now. How do we know if we have subconscious wounds or blocks? First off, we catch ourselves repeating habits that we thought we had taken care of. Or we find ourselves taking one step forward, shooting ourselves in the foot, and taking another step back. Or we find ourselves dating or marrying the same person, or getting the same dead-end job, or any of these repeating patterns suggest that there's something going on underneath the surface. In other words, our conscious mind runs about 10% of the game. The subconscious is running the other 90%. Can we work on the subconscious? Yes. Is it as difficult as we've heard that if we do it from a conscious level, we're just chipping away with a tiny chisel and we get nowhere with this iceberg? I don't believe so. I believe we can actually make a difference from the conscious mind, because the first and most important thing it takes to handle or deal with the subconscious is a conscious choice. If you say, all right, I'm running a program of fear, I'm running a program of worry or anxiety, or let's be honest, I'm running a program of depression during this time, which I think now we've actually crossed over from fear, worry, anxiety to a lot of us feel down in the dumps. I'm running a program of depression. If I say, I am going to choose to move past this, that alone will help. So the first thing that I would do is make a choice. I choose to overcome these blocks, these wounds. I choose to ferret them out. I choose to find them. And then the second choice that we get to make is I choose to examine them. So, okay, we've got a little bit of the iceberg above the water. We've got the rest under the water. Let's play with this. Let's go hook up some giant ropes to a super tanker or two. And Jessica hates this phrase, so I'm going to use it. Flip things on their head. And that's what she says about Am I in trouble? Put the ropes over the iceberg, get those super tankers going out into open water, and let's flip that iceberg upside down so we get the greatest surface area above the surface of the water in the light of day, so we can begin to melt it away. Darkness doesn't stand a chance in the light. So you don't have to do all of these fancy ways to reprogram. And if you can't do those, or you can't get with an expert, or you don't know the technique, then there's nothing you can do about it. No, flip the iceberg upside down and let's get to work. Because once that iceberg is up in the light of day, examine it from every angle. Why do I think the Pookie keeps attacking me this way? Why do I think that there is this repeating pattern in a relationship? What role do I play in it? Where did this come from? Where did it start? Why haven't I been able to let go of it? My God, I can feel her needing to speak right now. Just needing, it's burning. There's just like beyond sunburn, burning lasers.
Is your hair sticking up?
All right, you go, girl.
Why is it your fault?
Why is it my fault?
Why is everything your fault?
That's my question for you. Why is everything my fault?
No, because you say that for me. I don't even say that, and you.
I was talking with somebody near and dear to us earlier. She's on here in the chat, and I said that my wound is feeling like, I'm in deep trouble here. My wound, and I can see this in my mom. I love you, Mom. For my mom, everything is her fault. Everything is her fault to the extent that if she watches the Patriots play and they lose, it was because she watched the Patriots play. And so till 2 years ago, I'm so proud of you, Mom, if you're actually watching this, which you probably aren't. But if you were, that she now will venture out and be able to see the playoff games, not the regular games, but she'll be able to watch that final game and not feel like it's her fault if she watches it that they're going to lose. So my wound, which I take ownership, I'm not placing the blame there, but there are energetic patterns that carry forward lifetime after lifetime. My wound is, it's my fault. I'm a screw up. I ruined everything, which I got from my mom. She got from her mom, who got from her mom. But again, it's my choice. It's my choice. I'm not leaving ownership of it behind. But it is perfectly matched with your mom's wound, which is, it's all the other person's fault. And let me tell you why it's the other person's fault. And she's gotten much, 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 much better with that as well. So if you're watching this, Esther, we love you. You have improved tremendously. But our wounds were actually perfectly matched to do one heck of a
Are you
Margarina.
implying that I have the same wound as my mom?
I know I'm in trouble here. I just know it, ship going down, sinking, glug, glug, glug. But yes.
You're precariously positioned on pillows here. He's sitting on pillows. I could just go.
Yes, dear Scorpio. Anything else you care to share?
That's a hard hole to climb out of.
You've been working on things at your side of things, but you would probably say, it's not a wound from my mom. You have caused all these things. It ain't about the iceberg.
No, but you'll actually say, why is it all my fault? And I'll say, I didn't say it's all your fault. And then you'll say, you don't need to say that it's all my fault.
I feel that you're saying it's all my fault. And that is a wound. On some level, maybe it is your fault. On some level, I am replaying a program. In fact, we hold these boot camps. We've got one tomorrow through Friday. If you like this banter, if you want to really dive into, we're going to be doing group clearing work, group EFT clearing. We're going to be doing shamanic soul retrieval work. Really, 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 really cool stuff. Come join us for the boot camp. But the reason I'm mentioning it here at this moment, other than a shameless sales plug, come join us for the boot camp. I'm mentioning it because we will often, I don't know if often is the right word, when we have subconscious blocks and wounds, we repeat things. And so we will have people coming into, like through customer service, trying to reach us, who think that we have rejected them or locked them out or blocked them or kicked them out of a program. or God only knows who's what, where we have done nothing except maybe we weren't able to get back to an email for an hour or two, but they're replaying their own programming. Can you hear me? Have you heard what I was saying? That people writing in for our boot camps, we all have our wounds or blocks, could actually be saying, you guys have kicked me out. I know you've kicked me out. You're not responding to me. I'm so sorry. I don't even know what I did wrong. I hope I can be forgiven, but I don't know why people just keep on doing this to me.
Right.
And that happens.
Right.
Because we reflect the world in many ways based on our blocks. So it's not a bad thing when you keep repeating that pattern if we can recognize it, flip that iceberg on its head, and then say, all right, what's going on? What are the strings attached? What can I do to work on them? Jessica is very good at pointing these things out to me. So I am very, very lucky in that way.
I'm very detail-oriented.
Yes, which means?
I don't let you get away with anything.
No, you don't. Which has been great for my growth. And before we got married, before I met you, I had my list by my bed for my manifestation work. And at the bottom of that list of or what I wanted to meet was somebody who will help me become more of who I'm capable of becoming. And I certainly got that. So happy anniversary. And you challenged me on all of my wounds.
Goes both ways.
So, and I also get to wound you more frequently.
No.
That's a good thing. So, all right. We've got a wound. We've got a block. We've had many videos on this. If you find that wound or block, first off, examine it. Secondly, go to EFT tapping. I'm not going to do a full class on this here tonight. We have so many different free things on it. Plus, we're going to be doing a bunch of it this week during our boot camp as well. But you can literally come up with a phrase to short out your wound. So if your wound is, I always feel attacked. Oh, okay, let's go for it. I always feel blamed for doing something wrong. So a good EFT tapping phrase would be, I love myself fully and completely. Put a positive in there at the beginning, even though I continuously feel blamed for doing something wrong. And you can go over 8 different acupressure points. I'm showing them real briefly. And you go over and over while you repeat these statements. Oh, I missed this one. And then that. While you repeat these statements to help short it out. What it does is the positive, the negative, along with tapping on points that produce a parasympathetic nervous system response, help to cancel it out. So that is one very simple way that you can do it. Another simple way is let's get out a journal and get busy. But in this case, you can write a little bit. Yeah, let's change that. You can write a lot about what this wound or block is and examine it from all angles. In fact, I teach automatic writing. That's a process where you could actually go to angels and guides and get wisdom about this. But at least write it out. Ask why it's here. Ask how this wound is here to serve me. Ask if you can finally let go of it. Write about it, and then shred that paper. The subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between the written word and the actual emotion or event. So shred it and be done with it. Shred it and be done with it. And yes, I did catch a little bit of that. Send love to that wounded part of yourself or to anyone else who attacks you. Your subconscious blocks and everyone and everything is here to serve you. The more love that you can bring to yourself, the more love that you can bring to the wounded part of you that may attack you. Realize we're all one. We're all one. And so if you can bring healing to that wound inside or outside of you, it lets go of that wound so that you can clear it. It may take day after day. It may take writing this many times because we may have a very deep groove in the record. But that's okay. Each time you write it out and shred it, you get lighter. Each time you write it out and shred it, you get lighter. But more importantly, since really what we're talking about today, oh, I'm sorry, Pookie, is flipping things on their head. Every time that you write from the perspective of the wounded ego or from the subconscious, and they do a very deep Kundalini embrace, the more you bring it to the light of day, the more it begins to melt away. Next, breathe into it. Don't judge yourself for it. In fact, there's a Hawaiian prayer that I hadn't planned on bringing up tonight, but if we give ourselves forgiveness for our wounds and traumas, we help to liberate them and set them free. And so simply the prayer of Ho'oponopono, I love you. Please forgive me. I am sorry. Thank you. I love you. Please forgive me. I am sorry. Thank you. Can help so much. And then I would bring your wound to bed with you. Yes, I can't believe I'm saying that. And no, the bed is not big enough for more than two, but bring the wound to bed with you anyway. And when you go to sleep, you can go into a state of prayer. You can go into a state of talking with the angels. But then go and dive deep inside of you and say, wow, I've got this wound. I keep thinking that it's all my fault. Keep thinking that it's all my fault. It's not all my fault. I set myself free from this. I set myself free from this. I set myself free. And repeat a phrase or mantra to yourself right as you go to sleep. In fact, you can envision a situation, maybe a situation like between the two of us, and envision it as you go to sleep, but play a new outcome. This is called working in the hypnagogic state, the half here, half not here state. We always get in that twilight state right before sleep and right when we wake in the morning. What we don't realize is this is a time where we can be our own greatest counselor. We don't have to go pay $65, $165, $265 an hour for a great counselor, which would be via Zoom these days anyway. But instead, during that time of the day, you have complete and total access to your subconscious. Go there, play there, be there. You look like you might have something to add. I've got to learn about this new setup because now I see you on camera and I see you twice.
Because you're stolen my armrest, so I can't move.
I have pinned you here. I love it. I'm very, very lucky. Do you need your armrest back?
No, I don't need to actually use it, but
okay. So nighttime is sacred more than probably anybody has ever taught you. Your environment is sacred. Your energy is sacred. As you can hear me dropping down, how you speak to yourself is sacred. And one of the most absolutely precious and sacred things that you can do in the world is watch your energy and how you speak to yourself and what you want to focus on before you go to sleep. Why? Because for the next 6, 7, 8, maybe even during this time, 9 or 10 hours, you are going to a foreign land where whatever you have thought about before you go to sleep is exactly what you're going to be working on. Flip it on its head. Imagine coming into the office and flipping off or saying F you to your boss right as you came in the door. Well, if you weren't fired, then for the next 7, 8, 9, 10 hours, all you're going to be doing is dealing with the damage of that bomb that you just blew up in the office right as you came in. It's no different when you go to sleep. If you're focused on the news, negative, worthless stimulation, if you're focused on something that you did wrong, if you're focused on yourself being a screw up, if you're focused on any sort of quote unquote negativity without bringing the light of day to it, you're sinking your ship every single evening. If instead you say, I can use this time for greatness, woohoo! See how careful I was with my arms there?
Thank you for not smacking me in the face.
This is something that was my fault because we did.
That was a little
too close?
A little too close.
We did have these, I don't even know what you call them, situations. We gave 100+ talks across the country. The fish always gets bigger, so I want to say hundreds. Maybe it wasn't hundreds, but it was at least 100 talks across the country. I don't know how many it was, and Southeast Asia for that matter. And I would just have these arms just fly out in front of her.
And I wouldn't be sitting or standing right next to him. I'd be like 3 feet over there.
Ninja move, trying to avoid like the Matrix.
And his hand would go like here. And I would be like.
So sorry. So when you go to sleep at night and you recognize that all day, every day you do this, as an example, bring it up. Envision a different way in doing it. Be extra loving, kind, and gentle, and play with this till the moment you fall asleep. Yes, play with this. Well, Michael, I might not fall asleep. Now, chances are you'll exhaust yourself of the topic. Now, if you find yourself winding up, say something loving, kind, and gentle to yourself. I'm a huge mantra guy, but I also believe that mantras are most effective. They will chisel into that iceberg the most right before you go to sleep. So years ago, I used to say, thank you, God, thank you, God, thank you, God. When I was trying to reprogram a subconscious that hated me. I cannot speak to this enough. So Pookie, can you block your ears for a minute? That's one ear. We're riding barefoot running. And I tripped and I felt we were so in such pressure and we were under such deadline that I tripwired the mother of all subconscious messages. The message that I don't even deserve to be here. And I can remember turning to Jessica. I think it was in a car. Was I in a car? And I basically took a line from Ghostbusters, apparently. I never told you that.
Were you really thinking about Ghostbusters when you said it?
On some level, I was actually. There is the line in Ghostbusters with Bill Murray going into visit his future girlfriend who is now being possessed by Zool. And he asks for, I don't know, Sheila or whatever his name is. I'm not getting it right. Is Dana here? And the spirit responds back, there is no Dana, only Zool. And in the car, Jessica's like, you're freaking out. You're freaking out. Where is the Michael that I know and love? And I said something like, there is no Michael. Michael is dead.
No, that's exactly what you said. It wasn't like that. That's exactly what you said.
Even now, can you see that look on my face? Not that good. Whew. That was hitting a deep core wound of not loving myself, which I thought I had really worked on. But the wound was, if you don't succeed, forget about try, if you don't succeed to a stupendous level, then you don't deserve to be here. And I had been working on it for years. And does it take that long? It takes that long if you block yourself. Now I have ways to get past it much faster. But I had to start with, I couldn't start with I love myself. I had to start with I like myself. I like myself. I like myself. I like myself. Then I got to a mantra of I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. Then I learned about EFT. Then I learned about soul retrieval work. Then I learned about all sorts of clearing stuff, all the tools that we're going to learn this week in Bootcamp. And then I learned how to practice this stuff at night to where it actually became fun. And I learned that my mantras were 10 powered, 20 powered, 100 powered if I did them before you go to sleep, or if I did them before I go to sleep. Last few thoughts, and then I want to open it up to some questions here. Your wounds, just like I say it often, if you picture the side view mirror, objects in the mirror are closer than they appear to be. Your wounds aren't what they appear to be. Oh, I can picture my mom. Oh, forgive me, Mom. It's the first person I was dating. And she said, don't date her. She's damaged goods. Sorry, Mom, I love you very much. And actually, that was not the right person for me to dating. But the assumption there was that this person can't be, quote, fixed, that whatever is wrong with them is there for life. First off, I'm here to tell you, nobody needs to be fixed. You do not need to be fixed. You are perfect and loving and beautiful and amazing just as you are. However, you might want to work on the subconscious block so that you feel lighter. That's why we're having our boot camp. That's why we've done all of this work. And on that note, your wounds, your blocks, your traumas are all here to serve you. Every single one of them. So we don't want to say, oh, I've wasted all my life. Oh, I'm so stupid for having that wound or block and not dealing with it. Or, I keep repeating this pattern. What's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. That light is a wayfarer. That light is showing you the path. That wound is where the light shines through, as Rumi said many, many years ago. So my wound, my core wound is I'm a screw up and unlovable. I think I've gotten the unlovable part down. The screw up still comes up to a smaller extent, but it's still in there. But now I could be wrong, but my belief is that these wounds, you get them thinner and thinner on the record, but they can still come back on your darkest days to teach you where you have more work to do, to guide you. They're not bad. You're not bad. You are perfect just as you are. So don't go, oh my God, I've got a wound. I'm wounded. I'm broken. I can't be fixed. You don't need to be fixed. You're not broken. You've got one heck of a light or a turn signal on helping to guide you. So love yourself up no matter what. Then make a choice and say, all right, I'm going to work on this with everything that I've got. I'm going to use this time where I actually feel down in the dumps. I feel depressed. I feel trapped. I feel like I want to be out there. Let's go out there and play, social distancing notwithstanding. I'm a huge fan of the social distancing thing right now, even though I'm a really big hugger. But let's dive in and play on the inside. It's a choice with everything that we've got. So with that said, I'm going to open it up to Jessica, aka the Pookie. And since it's their anniversary, I keep going to that loving Pookie statement. See if there's anything you want to add, you want to share about boot camp, about questions, about wounds and blocks that you need to me about. Anything. I'm here for you.
Well, a question that or a theme that just came up for me right now is I'm thinking about a lot of people out there who feel like they just need to suck it up and get over their wounds and just
Mom, I love you very much. However, okay, so I didn't have the perfect childhood. None of us did. But Mom would always tell me, get over it. That was her line. Get over it. To me, get over it is compounding the wound, is taking a jackhammer to that groove in the record and making it incredibly deep, because will alone isn't going to get you out of this. Get over it creates wound on top of wound on top of wound, or trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma. This is about, I had an interesting dream last night that goes along perfectly with this. I was at the Olympics and I had a medal from a previous year. I was at the Olympics. I was very nonchalant about it. I wasn't actually going to be trying very hard, which was interesting because it was telling me that it'll all go all right, I think, if you don't try too hard. But I was going to do a really, really fun sport. You know what that sport was?
Skating.
Oh, I wish. It was toboggan going downhill, except I didn't remember how to run the brakes. And I'm like, oh, crap, it's coming too fast, which is has a whole bunch of significance.
I would say so.
Here right now. I don't know how to run the equipment, but it was about flowing downhill. When it comes to your subconscious block, don't meet a block with a block. Don't try to push against it, but find the way to flow around it.
I think you needed a partner for your toboggan or whatever you call it.
I absolutely did. I thought it was a 4-person. I didn't see anybody else around. It may well have been a 2-person. All right.
Well, you're not supposed to run the brakes if there is a 2-person team.
You're not supposed to run the brakes?
Well, the other person is.
Oh, you got a brake man and you got to steer. Oh, even better.
I think so.
Yes, I think you're right. You have one person that steers and a brake man or something like that, or brake woman. We're not being sexist about the toboggan. I have no idea where to go with this. Save me.
No, I'll just let you hang out there.
Do you want to share any? Years ago, I had 2 near-death experiences. And out of the second came this amazing, beautiful laugh, which has been coming out more and more lately, hasn't it?
Yeah.
She gifted me this stone in Sedona, this beautiful obsidian stone here. And I find more often than not, if I ground myself by holding this stone, I can bring myself back into the here and now rather than going into la crack up land. All right, what else?
Okay, so
Excuse me.
I have another question, or we could go to some questions from the audience. What are you feeling?
Either way, do you want to tell anybody anything about our boot camp coming up this week, or save that for later, or what are you feeling on that?
Well, what are some of the things that you're going to be doing in the boot camp?
Ooh, so there's a power in the group that amplifies anything. That's why what's going on right now is we are all, like it or not, in sync with each other at this time. And that in syncedness is amplifying whatever is going on inside of us. So if you're like, woohoo, I don't know if you'll really be woohoo during this time, but if there are wounds inside of you, they get amplified and brought up so that you can clear. Well, we're going to flip it on its head, and we're going to use the power of the group. I'm in such big trouble here tonight. We are going to use the power of the group to amplify clearings. And so we're going to do a bunch of EFT tapping for clearing. We're going to be doing my own energetic clearing technique that if anybody's been in one of my recent boot camps, we're going to be doing that clearing technique. We're going to be doing tons of different subliminal work as a group to power up the clearing. So things that were stuck for decades, we're going to be able to shake loose. And then we're going to be doing group intention meditations to remove things on an entirely new level. And I've been gifted in being able to play with energy. And so at the end of all of our clearing work, and if you've been at any of our camps, you'll see that all of a sudden, a minute or two of, when I mean do this, it means meddling. A minute or two of meddling, all of a sudden I have everybody on cloud 9. Even though I don't know what cloud 9 means, but you'll still be on cloud 9. And so we're going to be doing energetic transmission work, but I'm going to be also be teaching you. I'm not a teacher who says, oh, I'm going to help you with this, that, or the other. And then when you're on your own, kid. No, I'm going to be teaching you how to do a bunch of these techniques on your own as well and as a group, because you come to the boot camp and then you're a member of the Facebook family, which means that Inspire Nation family, Bootcamp family, which means that there's a Facebook group so you can bring your questions, you can ask other people, you can do clearings with other people, all sorts of cool stuff. So that's what we're going to be doing this Monday through Friday, an hour and a half each day. We're going to be doing a group guided meditation each day. We're going to be doing some sort of clearing work together each and every day. And we're going to really help. I joke with my coaching clients. I always say before I work with my coaching clients, I say, and Pookie might want to block your ears again. Yeah, that's not going to work. I say, Jessica hates it when I say this, but I will become a worm in your mind, helping you to recognize your thoughts, to unplug certain patterns, and to plug new ones in. And that's what we're going to be doing as well. Thank you, Marie Rose. We are going to be unplugging and plugging back in. So Monday through Friday, 90 minutes each day, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. East Coast time. It's very, very affordable, $14 for the whole week. We've had so many kind people donating as well. When people donate $7, we match it to get another person into the course. It's $14, not for a day, but for the whole week. It's recorded in case you can only make one or all of the classes and want to replay them. You can bring your loved one, sit them down beside you, or your whole family on a bench going along with this. And it's just going to be an amazing journey together. Just an amazing, amazing week. And everybody, and there's probably some people here who've been to the boot camps who can talk about it in chat window. You come away by Friday. Just the energy is amazing. You may have felt like you're much lighter and that took a little bit of work, but you feel so, so much better. And there is a stick. There is an up leveling. My goal is to get you to what I call the upper room. And that's something I hear from my guides. It's something I hear from Paul Sella guides. It's something I've heard from many other guests as well. My goal is to get you to the upper room, or basically help you to have an electron state change, which means our energy doesn't shift very gradually like this. It goes from one spot, boink, to the next, doop, to the next. And my goal is to get you at least from here to here and get you a level of stick to where you can fall as much as you want, but you will never go back down below a certain level. And that comes from all of the energetic work that we do together individually during this week and as a group.
This is a tricky question.
I was wondering why there was this body language going on here. I'm like, oh, crap. I can feel it. And now she's towering over me.
Okay. Do people do people need to know what their subconscious blocks are in order to clear them?
Does a cat need to know the fur ball that's inside in order to clear it?
You guys probably didn't hear that, but
There's a cat hacking up the fur ball. No, you don't need to know what it is in order to clear it. That was demonstrated right off. Have you ever seen that before in Lumi like that?
no.
You can just clear it. And it's interesting because some of the work we're going to do is helping you to pinpoint your own specific wounds and blocks. Some of it is stuff that came up. This literally came out of automatic writing. I'm like, Pookie, what's a zeitgeist? I'm like, it either came out of my dream or out of my automatic writing this morning. I don't know what it is. What that is a collective energy, collective consciousness. And we can actually clear off of the collective consciousness without you having a clue what that wound or block is. Consider it an energetic program running in the background. So a good example of this is I don't need to know what the computer virus is in order to run the virus clearer software and click clean, purge, or whatever, and just get rid of it. That's a big difference between this kind of work and counseling. And I'm not a counselor. I don't play one on TV. I have never in my life had a coaching client kick their feet up on the couch and say, tell me about your childhood. But we can play on the energetic side of things without you needing to go back and figure out what the experience is and relive it in order to clear it. Oftentimes our blocks are hidden to protect ourselves. And we don't actually have to find it on a conscious level to be able to let go of it. That's important because some of the most substantial traumas, either it's too powerful for us to go back and it does a lot of damage when we go back, or it may take a jackhammer to get in there and years of counseling to get it. But on an energetic level, you don't need to do that. You are playing what I am going to call, without judgment, a very high level energetic game where you can go in like with a laser and go in and burn it out.
So then removing subconscious blocks doesn't have to be a painful experience where you're reliving the experience. It could be kind, gentle, easy, good.
It does not need to be a painful experience. Now, if it is conscious, let's say that I'm working with somebody and it is a conscious wound. Somebody's been raped. There's been murder in the family. There's been, I've worked with countless people at this point. Vietnam, Korea, killing fields, Croatia, and on it goes, where there's been some massive war wounding. All I need to know is, okay, there's this wound, and I go, do these resonate? Is there a sense of fear, of worry, anxiety, blah, 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 blah? They don't have to go back to the experience. They'll be like, yes, 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 yes. No, 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 I don't feel that at all. Yes, yes, yes. And I'm going to go, fine, clear it. Or I could go, do you know any of the emotions? And somebody may say, I'm too numb to the experience. And I'm going to go, perfect. I'm going to just use, if you have your imagination and want to give me some emotions, we'll clear that. If not, I'm just going to use my imagination, because it's all energy. We're all one. And what you think on an imaginative level may be real is much more real than you ever could imagine. But you don't have to put yourself back there. In fact, the work that I do and the work we're going to do this week, you never, ever, ever have to go back there. And you can say, so here's a wounding that many people have. Well, if it's easy, then I'm not really doing the work. How many times have I said that, Mr. Slate the Dragon? If it's not easy, then I'm not doing the work. Well, that's bogus. Let's get in that toboggan and go downhill. Let's actually find the easiest path to clear it, because it is a wounding that we're perpetuating on ourselves as a society. That, oh, Mom, I love you so much, but she's just coming up time and time again with the subconscious wounds tonight. As a kid, she used to tell me, tough love. It's tough love. Well, throw the hell out the tough love. Let's go to love. Let's go to gentle love. Let's go to how gentle of a place. And she rocks it now. She is much more of a gentle and loving and jovial love. But there is no need for toughness in the clearing game. Let's go to light. Let's go to easy. Let's go to gentle. My mantra above and beyond all else, I feel like I'm about to say shine bright, is kind, gentle, easy, good. Let's not relive stuff. You've lived it enough. You probably live it every day on an energetic level. What can we do to get it lighter without torturing you anymore?
Ready for a question from Q?
I am ready from a question from Q.
Okay.
You're not giving me light ones tonight. I like it. I appreciate it.
Michael, do you agree that the biggest subconscious blocks for most people today is the questions they ask themselves and their internal conversations they have with themselves? If we would just start asking ourselves more empowering quality questions, life would start to change. Most people will ask themselves, why does this always happen to me? A more empowering question would be, how do I make this moment even more magical?
Ooh, that's even better than what I would have come up with, Q.
Which presupposes that everything's already magical and we are looking for more magic.
Yes. We are looking for more magic. And it is the quality of the conversations that we have with ourselves on a moment and daily basis. And we can certainly find the majority of our subconscious blocks because they are in there. You're an idiot. Talking to yourself, you're a screw up. And when we talk to ourselves, you loser, and find out, why do you just keep doing that?
I don't like those subliminal messages.
So let's change it. Let's change it. All right, here we go. When you talk to yourself, oh my God, I love myself so much. When you talk to yourself, oh wow, why did you want to say that? What can I learn from it? How can I help you to heal? This is a magical world. You're bringing that up for a reason. Thank you so much. What can I benefit from hearing that? When you get underneath that message that's coming to you and you look at it like from being beneath an iceberg and you go, wow, that's incredibly beautiful. It's glowing blue. It's glowing white. It's magical. What can I learn from this? Moo-hoo-ha-ha. That's when you're playing the magical game. That's when you realize the whole world is magic and that everything is good, is God, is here to serve you. I'm not saying things are easy. I'm not saying there's not suffering. I'm not saying there's not grief. I'm not saying there's big stuff going down right now. But there's just as much big stuff going on the inside. And it is perpetuated, as Q is alluding to, it is perpetuated by the language that we speak with ourselves. Stop committing the crime. Instead, commit the gift. Well, what's the biggest crime? The biggest crime is the crime of the crime of the crime of the crime of the crime. What do you mean by that? It's that first you speak unloving or unkind thoughts to yourself. And then it's that you've been watching or listening to somebody like the two of us. And then you perpetuate the crime of judging yourself for perpetuating the crime upon yourself. And then you come back after yourself again and perpetuate the crime of judging yourself for perpetuating the crime of judging yourself for perpetuating the crime across yourself. Stop it, cut it out cold by going to Q says, going to a magical statement, going to a magical world, going to the highest level statement, bringing as much love to yourself as you can. This isn't a parent-child situation where we need to do something right in order to be loved. You just need to breathe in order to be worthy of love. In fact, you don't even need to do that. You don't even need to exist. You couldn't not exist if you tried. You're an energetic statement of love, coming from love, being love. And when you think you're anything less than love, you're just confused. And all we need to do is choose love. Choose the highest vibration statement that you can each and every moment. And when you trip and fall, bring yourself back. And guess what? The more you trip and fall and bring yourself back, the more you will be resonating at that highest frequency of love, which is what you are. In other words, every single trip and fall is here to serve you. Every single trip and fall is here to serve you. I never want to come across as a teacher who, I've got it all together, I'm perfect, everything is kumbaya. If I ever say that, please run as fast as you can. I trip and fall regularly. If anything is different, without judgment, no higher levels or anything, if anything is different, is then I dust myself off as fast as I can rather than fully spiraling and go, what in the world was that? What can I learn from this? And how can I bring this back more to a state of love? Brilliant, 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 brilliant question, Q. And I think I may have answered only 2 of your 5 or so parts of that, but feel free to bring them back around. Jessica, aka the Pookie, looks like she is doing a deep dive right now.
I was looking at the meaning behind
I
Kumbaya.
wondered the same thing. Kumbaya is an African-American spiritual of disputed origin, but known to be sung in the Gula culture of the islands off South Carolina to Georgia with ties to enslaved West Africa. Song is to have spread, but what does it mean?
A call to roll up your sleeves. Kumbaya is risking your life.
Kumbaya is whoa. There. Okay, so we must look at spiritual meaning, but let's not go there right now.
Okay.
But it's interesting. Oh, okay, go.
I'll do some more research. Q might know the answer. Q knows everything.
This is true.
Okay, from Haresh. What is your opinion about playing affirmation tapes while you're going to sleep?
Love them. Love them, love them, love them. So Haresh, I can't recommend that enough. The more that you play these things, the better. However, I would add to it, don't just play them with your go to sleep, sing them for a bit as you go to sleep, so to take it from something that is passive to something that is active, for something that somebody else is giving to you, that's something that you are giving to yourself. There's like a higher level permission at play when we do that. Please forgive me. I am now, your sneeze is contagious and I'm about to try to prevent a sneeze. So take it away, Jessica.
Okay. Did you have anything more to say about that question or next question?
Next question is good.
From Denise. What subliminals do you guys listen to and how do you make them?
So that's a great question, Denise. I haven't listened to a subliminal in a while. Bless you. We do make them for others, though, on a regular basis. There is hypnotherapist who we last listened to a subliminal, I think when we first moved here a couple years ago. I'm saying this loudly in case you can hear me from far away. Grace Smith, was it?
That's self-hypnosis.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So we listened to Grace Smith's self-hypnosis. Other than that, well, I'm speaking for myself. Are you listening to any subliminals at this point?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay.
Well, I was listening to another self-hypnosis recording by Marissa Peer last year, but
yeah. But you will find that as part of our group meditation this week, we will dive into the subliminal each and every evening. And those you can play back and play back and play back again and again and again still. We may dive that deep tonight. I never know for YouTube Live what's going to come out in my meditations that I do. I have a little bit more structure or guidance when I go in during class.
From Edward, how do you define love?
It's everything. All right, we might need a little bit more than that. Love is the frequency, is the field, is the energy that everything and everyone vibrates at every moment. When we think we are not vibrating at that frequency and we are thinking lower, higher, what we are just trying to do is slow or stop that frequency of love, but that's impossible as it is what holds everything together. So the sense of being depressed, of fear, of worry, or anxiety is forgetting that this is our true nature. Our nature is love. But there is nothing that is not love. Even the sense of disconnection, of disempowerment is here to serve us. If you went on a quantum level, it is the energy that holds everything together. It is the energy that informs everything. It is the energy that is everything. And so I use love, God, source, universe, Allah, Jesus, Buddha, Mother Mary, Jehovah. All of these words can be used interchangeably to me as love. And I am love too, and you are love. And we couldn't be anything other than love. So that is the most simplistic way that I can think about it. If I wanted to give it a one-word answer, love is. Period. I guess the period would be another word. Love you. Great question.
What if you're aware that you're being triggered by somebody and you're aware that there's a pattern? How do you pinpoint exactly what the subconscious block is that prevents you from breaking free from that pattern?
You do know what the trigger is, or you don't. You know that you have a trigger when you speak with somebody else. But you don't know what the wound is. But you know the repeating pattern.
Yeah.
Let's go after the pattern.
Oh.
We don't need to know, oh, here it is, exactly this day on that day. Let's just go after the pattern. Now, we have had good luck on occasion, lesser luck on occasion, all blessings, at being able to throw a monkey in the wheel when we're in the middle of our little dance and say, oh, whoops, we hit a pattern. We should go and clear that now. Of course, you know you hit a pattern. When somebody does tell you you get to clear a pattern and your ego yells, no, then you know you hit a pattern. And we've experienced that. When you said, Michael, go tap, and my ego says, that is the last thing in the world that I want to do right now. However, I go quiet, I go into another room, and then I'm like, ah, darn it, she's right. And thank God she's right, because she can help me to clear it. Now, I will say there have been some wounds that we've been getting at lately that I have not fully cleared yet, that I have done a certain level of energetic clearing. Yes, pull out the zinger. But either I didn't feel I was ready, which might be an excuse, or I wanted to pull on the string and see where all the directions are. How has this affected my life? And so I've taken time each day to observe them and to write about them and to learn about them. And I've done that deep dive because to me, there's a book in there and I actually want to read this book. I want to see what I can learn from this book.
Why wouldn't one be ready? Is it really not being ready, or is it not wanting to let go of something yet?
Well, that's an excellent question. For me, I could be wrong, and you might be calling me on my BS right now.
Not trying to.
I want to understand, where is this pattern affecting me? And maybe that's not necessary. Maybe that's too much of a, what's the term, forensic science of understanding how this is affecting me. So, but I've been doing my snow globe, and my snow globe itself of observing the wound has helped heal the wound. But I haven't gone at that deepest soul level this week on some wounds that I do get to go on. Now that's interesting, because what the teacher teaches will be brought into the teacher's face.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to challenge myself. So thank you each morning this week to do additional clearing work specifically, so that I am even more Pono or true when I teach class in the evenings. How's that?
It'll make my life easier.
On a side note, I wish we could adjust this backlight so people could see. I don't know if they can see the hummingbird Olympics that have been going on behind us.
They'll let us know.
All right.
Oh, by the way, Tina Googled Kumbaya, and it means come by here. So the song says, come by here, my Lord.
Ah, so I'm going to take that to mean being in the place of God, being in the house of God. That'd be my interpretation. I like it. Thank you, Tina.
So pulling on the golden thread a little bit more.
Is this a cushion I'm on right now, or is this a hot plate? Because it feels like it's getting a little warm under here.
You love the seat warmers in the car.
Those are my choice to flip them on.
Even in the spring and summertime, I'm like, do you want the...
It's not the cooking of my derriere, so to speak. It's the warmth of my back, because my back is still something that we work on if I sit too much.
Okay.
And it loosens up my back muscles, like this seating right here. This, after tonight, gets to be cleared. This seating situations, because my back is going, help me. Right. I'm going to be jumping on the literal trampoline in the house after this to get the back in order.
And now I'm trying to see if I can remember my question. It's not your fault. I didn't say it's your fault, even though you're saying I'm saying it's your fault. Gosh, what were we talking about? Golden thread, subconscious. Okay, what are some reasons why somebody would not want to let go of a pattern or, just.
And that's a great question to ask in your automatic writing, to ask in your journaling, to ask when you snow globe things. How has this been here to serve me? Typically, it's to keep you from playing your biggest game in order to keep you safe, in quotes. Your ego wants to keep you small and safe because it is worried about a big, bad, dangerous world if you take risks, if you put yourself out there. If you keep replaying your wound, just as if you keep yourself in a state of victimhood, then you don't need to live your greatest life. You don't need to put it out there because it's not my fault. And so we hold on to these wounds and blocks to keep us in a safe and comfortable and small pattern. It is very, very scary to know who and what you truly are. I didn't say you're part of love. I didn't say, now on one level, we are a rose bush on the divine. We are that rose, and we are a part of the whole rather than necessarily we are the whole on one level. It's all levels, it's all paradox. Another level, we are the divine. We are the infinite. We are the stars. We are the galaxy. We are the universe and universes. That's very scary to even start to try to wrap our mind around on an infinitesimally small level, because it means that none of us came here to start to play a small game, not a single one of us. We're all meant to play a much bigger game than we're playing. Jessica and I are in the mic are meant to play a bigger game. You're meant to play a bigger game. Everybody is. Does it mean that you're supposed to be a president or a leader or a visionary or whatever? No. It means you're supposed to be supposed to. Oh, that's laden with energy. You get to unfold or recognize the gifts that you came here with. We all came here with gifts wrapped around our heart. I believe it's our job to unwrap the bow, find the gift, and use gifts and use them for all that they're worth. That's scary though, because it means we have to get out of the comfort zone. We have to get out of who or what we've been told we are, which is really risky in a culture, in a climate where even though it goes unsaid, it's said in Eastern cultures, it's not said here, the tallest nail gets hammered down. Going your own path seems very scary. And so if we can keep repeating patterns of victimhood or perpetuating this victimhood on ourselves or keep on shooting ourselves in the foot, then we don't have to play it large. And that's what's going on that energetic level. That's why we might be afraid to clear it.
Thanks.
You look like you're up to something.
No, just catching up on questions from the chat room.
Okay.
Next question is from Anna Maria.
Yes.
How did you guys stay the course when you started Inspire Nation? It's so easy for doubts to get in the way. What carried you forward?
Your mom. So yeah, go ahead.
So Inspire Nation was birthed in my parents' home when we were living with my parents.
We have gotten, just as everybody else at some point on the journey we had gotten we got our butts kicked on Maui and we were wiped out financially. Jessica lost her health. She was sick with mold toxicity poisoning. And we lost almost everything. In fact, what possessions we did have took, another year and a half or more to actually get off of the island. Fortunately, our kitties got to come with us. Thank God, thank God, thank God. But we were living in her childhood 8x10 bedroom, 2 separate mattresses, sleeping on the floor.
And
well, that's where I thought you would take the story back.
Oh, okay. And so we started Inspire Nation, and it was a 7-day show back then. So Michael all he did was prep for interviews, record interviews, edit interviews, post interviews. Cry
interviews, 2-3 o'clock in the morning, crying because I couldn't get an interview edit finished, but I needed to be back up at 7:30 to start reading the book for the next day's interview.
And you would go to bed at like 1 or 2 in the morning. We naively thought that eventually, when we didn't know when this magical day would come or what number we needed to hit, but we thought eventually we would be able to get advertising. And this was even before we started posting the podcast on YouTube. The YouTube channel came a few months later. And that day wasn't coming.
Yep.
And my parents were sitting us down at the dinner table.
Yep. Or in the living room. I remember the big talk was some sort of a notepad in the living room, like a last straw where you're going to have to quit everything and go get a job as a teacher if you can't start making money right away, Michael.
And so we came up with some ideas then. And a few months passed and we were making a few $100s a month. And I had gotten a part-time job at an outdoor retailer, just to get out of the house and feel like a normal person. But we were eking by and really still living off of my parents. And one day my mom comes to us and she says...
And how young was she?
She was approaching her 70s, I think, if not 70 already.
Yeah. And mom said?
And she was still working full time. She said, what do I have to do? Get a second job to support you guys?
Oh, God. Thank you, Mom. That did it. There is something about fire under butt. And there was no wavering. We hadn't wavered, but what we did is we switched the channel and we switched our attention. We had an intention of making money, although we hadn't really focused on it, but we switched our attention.
Up until that point, the attention was still focused on just growing the show. There was barely any attention on bringing in the income.
In fact, I had paused my coaching. I loved coaching, but I had completely stopped coaching with my belief system that I could not coach and run a show at the same time, that I had to focus on one and not the other.
So probably around that time, we backed off from 7 days a week to 5 shows a week.
Which was probably your first hallelujah moment.
We had a lot of arguments about this.
We did. There was a lot of fear, a program running inside of me that says, if you do not slay the dragon, if you do not go, 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 that it won't work.
Yeah. And then 2 years, after 2 years of living with my parents.
and at that point, coaching is taken off. We're doing much, 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 much better.
We are. We're still not.
No, I'm talking. Yes, you're talking about now at the 2-year mark.
Right. We still weren't really ready to leave the nest.
Although we were kicked out.
But then one day my parents said, we're going to be putting the house on the market. And I said, okay, when do you need us out of the house? And they gave us a date. And it was sometime in April of 2017 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so then we had to shift our attention again.
Because we did, they were good. They were going to a smaller home, the home that you were born in.
Oh yes, they said you can move out or you can move with us into a smaller house.
How do I put this kindly? There are certain things that with good Asian father-in-law in the house that you do not entertain. And so after 2 years of living under your dad's roof, it was time. Was that well put?
Yeah.
And all of these things, all of them were here to serve us. Every single one was of benefit, and every one was an energetic lesson, and everyone was guidance.
Every obstacle was steering. It made us go this way or this way.
Yeah.
Because if there was no obstacle to shift us, we'd still be doing a 7-day-a-week show, living with my parents.
I'm just hearing Chris Farley saying, living in a van down by the river. Yes.
Is that Tommy Boy?
Yeah. Well, that was sort of his.
Tommy Boy?
No, it was actually an SNL skit.
Okay.
Down by the river is probably the name of the skit. It is hilarious. But it is always energy, tension, and relaxation, and these seeming paradoxes of there's an exercise in Tai Chi called push hands, where you are working with and against somebody else's energy, and on one level it seems like you're trying to manipulate and move the other person around. On another level, you're doing this game of flow with the other person, and you need that tension in order for that flow. And so if we can remember that the tension inside of us, that the subconscious wounds and blocks, and you're going, yeah, but if I didn't have them, but if I didn't, great. Well, let's get rid of them now. But they helped guide you. Yeah, but look at what my life has been. It's been no. If you recognize that you're a spiritual being having a human existence and you're not here just for your enjoyment, sure, let's enjoy life as much as we can. Let's drive it till the wheels fall off. But if you realize that there's bigger lessons at play and you were here to grow, to expand your awareness, your consciousness, the consciousness of consciousness itself, then everything that took place was perfect up till this very moment. And now let's choose something different.
Did you want me to say something more or answer some questions?
Whatever you would like.
Okay. We have a question from Lynn. Mm-hmm. She says, this is just a very playful question.
That means, so this is my wounding, Lynn, that goes, oh boy. Because when Jessica says something like that, it means, Oh boy.
I have a pet theory that your woohoo arms raised up salute. You want to demonstrate?
Let's keep you safe here. Woohoo!
Okay. Is like 1010 on the face of a clock. Can anyone let me know what the angel number 1010 means?
Where's Kyle Gray's book?
I'll go fetch it.
Okay. So she's going to look up what 1010 means. All I know is that came out of a near-death experience as well. That woohoo didn't exist before NDE number 1. And when I met Jessica, I used to write it to her all the time, but she corrected me. I was spelling it like woo-hoo, meaning I wasn't ready to embrace my full woohooedness. Up right near the front, it's in one of the first few pages. Repeating numbers. You've actually opened to it. So here we go. It's Jill? Lynn. Here we go, Lynn. You are on the cusp of something miraculous. Trust that God and angels are one. And trust that God and angels are one and are with you now. Woohoo! And I like that, Lynn, because when I do an interview, and Jessica doesn't do it anymore, maybe I'm more conscious of it now. But when I started the show, people would say stuff really interesting, really exciting to me. Really, I just can't really take it anymore. Woohoo! And after a while, Jessica's going, dear Lord, you're going to scare people away with that. And what happened? Did I temper it? Did I get it under control? Because there was this welling up. You are on the cusp of something miraculous. This energy was welling up from inside of me.
I don't know what, I mean, I think we toned down the mic or we had the editor.
We got a better editor. Actually, the better editor means we got an editor rather than me as editor. So I'm glad people can see the hummingbirds now. I read up on hummingbirds earlier today again. And they said a hummingbird has to eat half its body weight in sugar each and every day. And so a hummingbird will eat every 5 to 8 minutes, which means that we now have 5 hummingbird ports around us. And right now at this moment, we have 3 to 5 hummingbirds at each port each minute. And so you could actually do the math on this. And my guess is if we have 5 ports, so we have 20 to 25 hummingbirds at any moment around the feeders. Actually, it might actually be more than that. We might be looking at 30 or 40 hummingbirds a minute coming right now. And if we times that, let's say conservative side, 30 hummingbirds a minute, and they have to feed, we'll say only once every 8 minutes, which means that they're feeding 7.5 times an hour. So we've got at least 200 or 300 hummingbirds right now that we're feeding at this house, probably many more. Sorry, I'm geeking out on that, but I love these little angels. I feel like we're surrounded by angels when they're around us. And in the mornings, they've come back to sitting on my hands when I feed them, which is just really, really cool. All right, that was just a fun little complete and total aside.
Q says in Tibetan, 1010 translates into one new beginning.
I like that.
And I said it's like wiping the slate clean. I mean slate. Did I say state?
We could use both of that at this point. I've been thinking about an Etch-a-Sketch a lot of just taking the world and going. For those who don't know what it is, it's red. It has a screen in the middle. It doesn't have Wi-Fi. What? Help me.
I don't really know if you want to do this to the world.
No, I look.
It's like if the baby's crying and you like.
No. Going back to 1010, I look at it as one of the most sacred numbers. I look at it as a sign of being in sync with the universe, and of being in harmony with the universe, and as a remembrance of who and what and where you came from. 11:11 versus 10:10, I look at as you are one with everyone and everything, and they both go sort of hand in hand. And so 10:10 comes up to us a lot. The number of repeating numbers lately coming up to us is tremendous. But I'm guessing if you're listening to this show that you are getting numbers coming up and coming up and coming up, which says take note of this. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. There is greatness inside of you, and I believe now is your time.
We have a question from Patty.
All right, and how long are we going with questions before we do a meditation and wrap this up? You're in charge, boss.
Oh.
No.
That was an answer. Okay.
Stop it.
I've moved a lot, and I know you both have moved a lot. That just sounded way too pathetic.
There wasn't the air to get the honk out. It's like you're smothering a donkey.
My hand's wet now. Okay. Patty says, I've moved a lot, and I know you both have moved a lot. How do you go about the movement and finding the trust with the process?
You go, girl.
Just thinking about
I know.
moving again.
Here's my take, and if we did have to move again, and I hope that doesn't come for many decades, because we have had to move so much, Patty, I think a cosmic surrender and an allowance into the flow. So when we moved from New Jersey, we racked our brains of where we go, what we do, what's the next step. We're looking at maps. We're trying to think our way through. We want to be by water. We want the mountains. We want this weather. We want this. And it was just hurting our brains. And instead, it came literally half an hour after a complete and total surrender to the universe. We're driving back from, what was it, Pyramid Rock or someplace, from Boonton, New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And I go, I give up. This is not going to come from the thinking mind. I surrender. And we got to the Mexican restaurant. There was a phone call or something. How did that play out? Or an email?
Well, I remember I said something like, and you mentioned this is when my parents were moving. They said, you guys, are they coming with us or you're going out on your own?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're in that Mexican hole-in-the-wall restaurant, which is like really great food. And I was like, there must be somebody out there who's listening to this show who has like this ohana or second home that they're not using, that they could just,
as an intermediary step, because we weren't ready for this thing called rent yet. We were at the food level, food and insurance, and we had registered our car. Hallelujah.
This was only like 3 years ago. Okay.
Well, it's just so it does go to show how far and how fast you can change.
Yeah. And
how much you can be in alignment. And so when I see what's going on with people today, without making light of it, this is not end game. This does not mean you're going to be stuck in this situation.
And right
this
now,
is a blip on the radar.
Right now, it feels like everything is taking forever to figure out, or the solution is taking forever to appear. But then 5 years pass, and you look back on the last 5 years, and you're like, how did we get here? How did all of this happen and take place in such a short amount of time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so
when you're in it, it feels like it's taking way too long and much longer than you want.
Yeah, and even for us at this moment, wherever you are in your game, your ego tends to not want to bookmark this moment or anchor in this moment. It says, well, I'll be happy when, I'll be happy if, I'll be. Rather than saying, wow, no place to go, nothing to do, or whatever our situation is, let me just breathe into this right now. Because we will probably paint a more glorious picture of it later on anyway. Okay, so continue the story.
Back to the Mexican restaurant.
Yes, that was good food.
Yeah. So I said, surely there must be somebody out there who's listening to the show, who knows we're looking for a place to live. Mm-hmm. And we get home, and I find that we've gotten an email from one of your former coaching clients. Yeah. Dear
friend who found us through the show. Then we worked on coaching together. and then said, hey, I have this place down in North Carolina.
No, actually, she said, I was doing automatic writing this morning.
You're right.
And automatic writing told me to offer you.
Woohoo! A vacation home on Emerald Isle in North Carolina.
That her and her husband were only using for 6 months out of the year.
And that was our next step. Actually, first we had to go into a home that turned out to be moldy for a couple months that we didn't know. But then we got time in her home, and then a whole series of synchronicities led to this magical, magical home. And if I go back to Maui, when we were getting kicked off of the island, I had an internal dialogue that was going on. And the internal dialogue is, I really didn't want to go back to the East Coast. I'd grown up on the East Coast. I'd spent a lot of time in New Jersey, and that's where Jessica's parents lived. And so I was saying, anywhere but New Jersey, anywhere but New Jersey, anywhere but New Jersey was the external dialogue. The internal dialogue was, I really don't want to go there. However, if that's where we end up, then that was exactly what was supposed to be and for our highest good. And I will surrender into that situation, and then I will make the best of that situation, abso-freaking-lutely, no matter what. And that's what I did. I didn't even have time to cry before I left. And had I was given half the opportunity, I had cried when we left Taos, which is a whole nother story. I just bawled. I had the opportunity there. We got kicked out of Taos. Another story by Taos Mountain, not kicked out by people, in a home that just imploded on us. But I didn't have time to even fully process on Maui. I was just driving up and down the hill trying to get its stuff into storage, racing back and forth. And the next thing you know, we're in New Jersey, and there was like no break in between. And so there may be some wounding there. When I watch images of Maui, I still cry. I cry a lot. When Marie Rose is on here and shows me the ocean, I do belly flops, or flips. I get to do some clearing on that. But there's also a cosmic surrender, Patty, of, all right, universe, if everything is God, if everything is God, then no matter how much this has happened, it is all here to serve me. And I will use this as the most incredible opportunity, to completely transform my life out of this move. When we moved to New Jersey, we had her first car that she refused to let me sell. Good job, Pookie. She laid down the law on that one, because I'm going, well, if we sold your car, we could get, and you were like, that isn't even a topic for discussion.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. You only mentioned
you wanted to hold on to the trailer, but not my car?
Not really.
Okay, anyway, what are you saying?
We couldn't afford to register your car.
Mm-hmm.
That's how headspun we were. And to start Inspire Nation, all I could do was walk up and down a sidewalk. I couldn't get myself to nature until our cousins, gifted me with a beat up old Honda, who was the greatest car ever. Silver was the car that set me free and allowed us to get to the trails, mainly me, because you were still sick in bed most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But just embracing the move. We're sleeping on twin mattresses. We're in your childhood bedroom. We have your paraphernalia from growing up as a little kid. We can't even get a car registered. And we embraced it with everything that we had. And now look at us. Because we didn't fight against it, we embraced it. That's all. You look like you have something to add.
I think, well, for the last two moves, we set intentions. And I know for the last move to Colorado,
powerful intentions.
I wrote on a piece of paper that I folded into a quarter size so that it could stand on it. So I made it into a tent. Mm-hmm. And it says something like, the perfect home will find me. And I said find me because I was the one who was flying out to Colorado to find a place. And this home, which we're in right now, really did find me. There were 5 rentals maybe within our budget in this whole valley. And I'd seen them all, and I only had a long weekend, 4.5 days to find a place. And I had 2 days left and nothing was working out. And finally, this place shows up on Craigslist, and hardly anything was being listed on Craigslist here. Things were mostly on Zillow. And so that was kind of odd. And I called up, and the woman said that there was a couple that had looked at the place and they were pretty interested in, they were going to give their final decision later that day. And I just had a feeling. I think we both have a feeling.
Oh, I said, I feel good about this. They're not getting it. I feel very good about this.
Yeah, so later that evening, I got the call that the other couple had backed out, and it was available for me to come see. It
just felt like flow. What's coolest to me, and then maybe we'll take one more question, and yeah. I'm watching my energy wane, okay. And I know I have this beautiful, beautiful class, and I want to save my energy for everybody who joins me this week. We pulled out last year because we got all of our stuff here from storage. Actually, I don't know if it was from storage or if it was from Maui, but we pulled out a whiteboard, a vision board.
Yeah, we had a few whiteboards from Maui that we had shipped here. I don't know why. And on that whiteboard, it was a dream board or a vision board. And I had actually written mountain home with trails out backyard. Mm-hmm. And this is it.
It is. And we have, I mean, I feel like we're living a little bit St. Francis lifestyle in the moment. We sit in the mornings and meditate with, I had a squirrel in my lap this morning, along with dozens of chipmunks running over us and in and out of our lap. The hummingbirds will come and land in our hands. We've had deer on the deck press their nose against the glass, looking in at us, and on and on and on and on and on it goes. And it was there on the board.
It took 4 or 5 years.
Much longer than we had planned on.
Right. And if you had told us that back then, I would have been like, oh my gosh, that's so long from now. But now, you know, in retrospect, again, it came really fast.
It's the power of intention and getting in alignment, and if it's for your highest good. So like you can say, oh, I want $1 billion, I want $1 billion. And obviously you have to really step forward for that. But if that's not on your path, it's not going to happen or not going to happen yet. But you don't beat the universe with the 2x4 saying, why isn't it here yet? Why isn't it here yet? Why isn't it here yet? Get into alignment, do the work, step forward, and allow. And allow is such a powerful spiritual term. Allow into whatever is. And I believe that's what we do. So no matter what happens in the future, I'm like, ooh, if that happened, I got to admit my attachment. I probably won't feel very good about that, but I will allow into that, knowing there is something greater at work. So if we have one more question, let's go for it.
One more important question from Q I'm looking for. Okay.
All right, hold on one sec here. Tooting horn. Excuse me. I'm still on camera. Oh, well. Love you guys.
Okay.
At least I was farther from the mic.
Now I feel like sneezing. Okay. Do you and Michael feel the difference tonight in your energy flow? It's very powerful. There's such a magical flow radiating from you both tonight. The implication being it has something to do with
Q?
The furniture rearrangement.
All right, Q. First off, I will give you 100% credit. Secondly, I am going to literally have to jump on the trampoline after this because my back is feeling so torqued from this. But with that said, it's not just, it is all you, Q, who inspired us to do this because we had the back toward us. But it is also all just a lot warmer, and which is she set up a very different setup, which is a lot warmer and friendlier and cozier. In fact, my